Hello and welcome to the Critical Twits. Today we're going to be talking about tabletop cyberpunk RPG, The Sprawl. Hello and welcome back to the Critical Twits. I'm Brian Ennis.
And I'm Aaron Ravinsky.
And today we're going to be talking about cyberpunk tabletop role-playing game, The Sprawl. Something that we touched on a while back in our top 5 one-shot RPGs. Mm-hmm. We promised you a full in-depth review, and here it is.
Woo! Cheer.
Cheer? Did you just say cheer?
Yeah.
Okay. That's an interesting approach to noise. Yes, we have been playing The Sprawl intermittently now for about 6 months or so.
Yeah.
On and off as a filler game between the episodes of our main campaign, which is why it's kind of taken us a while to put together the review, because we haven't been playing it in full intensity.
Yeah.
But we can refer back to that podcast, have a listen if you like, if you're not sure. It works really, really well in a sort of kind of self-contained way, mm-hmm. as something that you can sort of play an episode of in a night and then move on with your lives and come back to later.
Yes.
It's almost, what's the word on it? It's episodic in nature. That's what I'm looking for. The way it's structured is very beginning, middle, end.
Yeah.
So that works really well. Now, what is The Sprawl, I hear no one say, and let me answer the silence. The Sprawl is a tabletop role-playing game where you will be playing professional agents, professional people in a cyberpunk world of your own creation, mm-hmm. although there are supplements to do otherwise. One of the big things, and probably what we'll start off talking about, is the fact you get to create your own sprawl to undertake missions in.
Yeah.
You will gang up with the other party members and tackle missions for and against various nefarious corporations. The game is written and designed by Hamish Cameron, published by Arden's Ludaire, and it is a powered by the apocalypse system game. I haven't played any other powered by the apocalypse games, so I can't really comment on how it differs from sort of the base game and the base idea. The system seems to be something I'm seeing more and more of, it being sort of ported around, used elsewhere.
Yeah.
It seems to be quite a simple, elegant system. So when we talk about the system for the game, obviously we're talking about this specific incarnation of it, but I do quite like what it's done, and it's made me want to check out some other powered by the apocalypse style games.
Yeah.
At some point. The reason I like it, it's a simple 2d6 system. You only need 2 dice to go. The person running the game doesn't even need to roll any dice. Which is weird for me, because I like rolling dice. Yeah. I've been running the game. It is fairly rules light and very story heavy.
Yes.
And again, that's something that we quite like. Although, having said that, we've recently been playing a Pathfinder Curse of the Crimson Throne campaign, which is almost the opposite.
Yeah.
Lots of fighting, lots of gaps for you to fill in as GM.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're big into cyberpunk here.
Mm-hmm.
If you, we could probably do like a whole playlist of things where we've talked about cyberpunk stuff now.
Yeah, we'll probably take up most of our podcasts.
Yeah, I'm in the process of editing an indie game, a video game called Local Host, which is very cyberpunk. It's all about deleting artificial intelligences and them trying to get you not to delete them. We talk about Netrunner all the time.
Yeah.
And we have recently recorded a podcast about Netrunner rotation.
Yeah.
Ages ago, actually, now, Aaron, wasn't it?
Yeah.
At least 2 hours.
Yeah, hours.
Yeah. 2 in a night. It's been years since I've been able to manage 2 in a night.
Yeah.
I need a bigger break normally, but just in the mood, mate. To double down, to work a double shift. And we recently talked about Ghost in the Shell.
Yep.
And how it was much, much better than Ghost in the Shell.
Yes.
So there's loads of cyberpunk stuff for you to to go back and listen to, and I did cut out the bit where I spoilt the ending of Neuromancer, the Cyberpunk classic by William Gibson, for Joe. I cut that so I didn't spoil it for the audience, but I don't think he's ever forgiven me, and that's why he's not here. Speaking of William Gibson and Neuromancer, the book for the Sprawl starts with the classic opening line from Neuromancer, which of course, Aaron, as a fan of Cyberpunk, you know off by heart.
Yes. And I will now say it in Brian's voice.
The sky above the port is the colour of television, tuned to a dead channel.
You sound weird, Aaron. You sound weird.
Yeah, sorry, you got a higher pitch than me. I was trying for something and it didn't work.
Your mockery has saddened me. Oh, it's all gone a bit weird, isn't it? Yes. There's lots of quotes from various Cyberpunk places throughout. To the point where I read one. I can't find the one that I read, but it made me read Snow Crash.
Yeah.
By
Neil Stevenson.
Thank you. Did you just read that off my bookshelf? There's a slight hesitation, which I really, really enjoyed, but is definitely a different kind of cyberpunk to Neuromancer.
Yes, yeah.
It's a good book, though.
Yeah.
It's got, like, crazy ninja pizza delivery men and weird girls with anti-rape vagina dentata implants. And a machine gun that can cut down a submarine, and
It reads very irreverent at times, but it all kind of ties up and works in the universe setting that he's made.
it's
very odd.
Yeah, it's very over the top, very in your face. It feels quite joyful in places, even though it's quite miserable. But it does have some deep sort of philosophical themes and such.
As is want of Cyberpunk.
Yeah, Cyberpunk. Oh no, these machines! Are we going to turn into the machines, or are the machines going to turn into us? That's Cyberpunk. Explained.
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah, there we go.
And it's a bit grimmer in it.
Yeah.
And my arm's made of tin cans. I don't know. That's kind of the Cyberpunk way, isn't it? And I think that's one of the appeals of Cyberpunk, is that it can be both sort of low down, dirty, and gritty. And quite sort of violent and unpleasant in places.
Yeah.
It doesn't have many heroes, it has a lot of anti-heroes.
Yes.
But it can also deal with some very big overarching themes. And when we talked about Ghost in the Shell, we talked about the difference between sort of soft or social science fiction versus hard science fiction.
Yeah.
Cyberpunk can kind of go both ways. It kind of marries the two together a bit. It's come after the new wave of science fiction, which was your soft science fiction in like the 60s, and before that you had your golden age of science fiction, which was more sort of your hard kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I always feel weird saying hard and soft so often in close proximity.
Yeah.
Freaks me out, man. Freaks me out. Just want to giggle like a schoolgirl. I've played 5 or 6 missions of this.
Yeah.
You've joined us for one.
Yeah.
But I just couldn't wait. I wanted to tell everyone about how awesome this game is.
Yeah.
Spoiler for the review, I really like it.
Oh, now nobody's going to listen.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what you have to say after, slightly less exposure. You'll be slightly less likely to die of exposure.
Yes.
Yeah. You'll be less blue.
Got
you singing now. The crap singing is spreading throughout the podcast. Yeah, these things are always slightly odd to start with, because role-play games are made up of so many moving parts. You've got your character, you've got make, you've got your setting, you've got your background, you've got the rules, you've got kind of how it feels, you've got the book itself, the product itself, and is it a good quality book, is it a good quality product? So I thought I'd start with what you see when you first open the book.
Makes
and
sense.
then what you do in your first session, and then sort of progress through it there. So hopefully there's some kind of logical train in what we're doing. So the book itself, I bought it's available in PDF. I bought it from RPG Drive-Through, I do believe, in hardback. It's a tiny wee hardback, like an A5 sized hardback.
It almost looks like a little novel.
It does, yeah. It's kind of that sort of size thing. A little bit bigger than a paperback, maybe not a full hardback.
It's like the post hardback, but somebody who wants a nice edition of the softback version.
It's a small hardback that is bigger than a paperback size thing. It's got full art cover. It looks quite pretty.
Yes, yeah, visually very enticing.
It's got that neon thing of Cyberpunk going on. What I really like about this edition, there's two different versions. You can get black text on white paper. I went for white text on black paper, and I'm really glad I did.
Yes.
It has other colours of text as well, so excerpts from the game are in orange. There are some green bits somewhere, he says. Yes, there's green bits. Where are the green bits? Show me a green bit. The fiction that is included is in green.
It's all very 1980s Acorn computer.
It looks like an 80s computer display.
Yeah.
When it's just a page full of text, can still look cool.
Yes. Yeah.
Especially the green. The green's a different font, and it looks just like those acorns, and it's really nice. There's been a lot of thought put into the design of the book.
Yeah.
It's full of practical examples. This is one thing I like.
Mm-hmm.
I like seeing that in a game, and makes it good for newbies to come in who maybe haven't seen that particular game being played, maybe haven't seen any game being played, and to get an idea of what's going on. It's got little bits of fiction. There's not a lot of background fiction.
Mm-hmm.
There's a few bits, and they're nicely written. They're very evocative. They're very interesting. But the thing with the Sprawl, then, having said that the physical product is nice, and I felt perfectly happy with the money that I spent on it.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good value. I like it. It's a nice bit of kit. Although you don't need to, just get the PDF if you like. The thing about the Sprawl is that the base game, at least, doesn't come with a setting. Which is odd for a book that's named after a setting. It's called the Sprawl, so it's set in the Sprawl.
Yeah.
But the first thing you do is make your Sprawl.
Yeah.
So the very first session, the players and the MC. The MC is the Dungeon Master, Games Master, Storyteller, Man in Charge, King,
person who crafts music. Yes.
Yeah, the MC.
Yeah.
The
chief rapper.
I like to think it stands for Muppet Coordinator.
Yeah, it's probably appropriate.
But I don't know if that's canon or not. But yeah, the MC and the players sit round together as equals. There is no division at this point, and they create the Sprawl. And they do this by talking, discussing about what they think the future might be like.
Yeah.
And they each posit forth a corporation, because Cyberpunk staple, evil, ominous corporations, and you say, I think this corporation does this, and this. This is what they're like. This is where their main interests are. They're all mega corporations, so they all do a bit of everything, but they'll have a focus. They'll have a specific idea in mind, and that's your first kind of session. I mean, it could take an hour. Could take, as it did for us, about 4 hours. You joined a little bit later, because I think when we were playing this the most, you were finishing off your degree.
Yes.
That's part of the reason we played it quite a bit, is because we couldn't get everyone. Two of the group were finishing off university things, and the rest of us wanted to role play. Didn't want to carry on the story of our big ongoing game of Mutant Gen Lab Alpha.
Which is always nice.
We thought we'd wait for you. It's nice, isn't it? It's nice. We're lovely people. Cyberpunk shouldn't be nice.
No,
it should be mean. Should be hard.
Which is maybe why you chose that, so you could be mean, because you felt you wanted to, but you couldn't be.
It should be as corrosive as the acid rain working its way down your face. Under the pink neon. I don't know, shut up, Ron. So we created a city. We decided to go for Neo London. Or New London. As it is sometimes known to its mates. You have to be its friend to call it that. Otherwise, you're not allowed. Neo London, Mega London, the London Republics, London Metro, the Lon Met, or LM. There you go. We did some bits. We decided that it stretched from Birmingham to Dover. We made it it's way too big. Mentally, I've kind of been scaling it down ever since. A big sprawling city, the Sprawl. the idea of the sprawl comes from. I mean, the sprawl is in William Gibson, and it's multiple cities together, isn't it? Is it San Francisco to LA, and it's kind of merged.
Yes.
Merge. It's kind of a cyberpunky word. Merge. Yeah.
So yeah, actually, what you've made is a sort of small, tiny piece, because that's spread across America. It's massive.
Yeah. So actually, it's not that big, but it does feel like go to the other side of the city in 4 days' time.
Yeah.
It's a little bit like that. We named the Thames the Slick, which came up with the idea of going up slick or down slick, which I quite liked. And horrible, nasty people are called slick suckers.
Nice.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
I'd like to take credit for this, but no, it wasn't me. But we have. It's really interesting, actually. I just picked that as just an example of the process. It's my first note. My notes are like 2.5 typed pages in sort of bullet points for. From doing that. It was really interesting to sit down as a group and just be creative together, because generally if you're a tabletop role player, you're probably quite creative, quite a creative person, because you're playing someone who's not you, especially if you're kind of the person that runs the game and makes the game up. But only half the group were DMs, the others are just players, and that's cool. And it was not really nice and interesting to see people who maybe haven't played much before kind of taking a lead and going, I think this should be like this, and sort of getting their creativity out there, which maybe they don't get as much chance to express.
Yes, yeah, definitely. I mean, when you mentioned that to me, I was reminded a little bit of like the Mutant Year Zero first campaign we played.
Yes,
well, a bit of the campaign play that, where we had to design the settlement we were in.
Yeah,
and it made us all more invested in that settlement because we were the ones who created it. And I got that very much from the other players when this was the city. They all understood it. It was this, and this.
Yeah,
they got it straight off the bat because they'd made it.
Yeah, and we added in something for you, didn't we?
Yes,
another
it was a
corporation.
new, based on L'Oreal. I can't remember what I'd termed it now.
Yeah,
it was L'Oreal and something else I mixed up. But it was basically a beauty company of sorts.
Yes.
But they dabbled in genetic modification stuff as well.
Yeah, I'm struggling to find that one. They didn't put it in.
There was a pun. It was a pun as well. I was quite pleased with what I'd called it.
Yes. But yeah, so we tried to come up with some different groups. So we have the first corporation was Lynx, the London Information Exchange, which was we came up with the idea of the commuter war against those filthy commies, which fractured London. So I like the British Library.
Yeah.
It's enormous, and it feels like a fortress.
Yeah.
So in this version of London, it is, and they control lots and lots of data, and have faster than light data travel between their Atheniums, which is like ancient Greek for library, I think. And yeah, that was them, kind of like data getting into artificial intelligence. Yeah. We had Utilife, who basically they're a big agricultural company and utility company. So all the stuff you actually need to live, they try to control.
Yes,
it's quite a cool idea. I quite like that. It wasn't my idea. And water has been trademarked and protected. It's now called Life. And you have all sorts of different types of life. So you might have High Life, which is for going out clubbing because it gets you off your tits. You might have Sunny Life with vitamin D in it, and all sorts of. And we're making lots and lots of jokes about life.
Yeah,
it's quite good. They have the circle, the news, Circle News, or the Circle of Life.
Yeah,
which is where you get your information from, because that's vital to living as well. We have Haviland, who started off with turbines, ventilation, air supply, because you've got these great big towers that need air pumping around, lots of pollution, so you need it purifying.
Yep.
And then moved into anti-gravity, so they have whole drone armies that they can call upon. Anti-grav floating weapons platforms.
Yeah.
So sort of an arms manufacturer company, also making sort of big heavy duty vehicles and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It was good.
Yeah.
And Verte, who are a biotechnology company who grow meat
Yes.
in vats, clone, do DNA manipulation.
Yeah.
They do wetware, so cybernetics that are in your brains or in your nerves, as opposed to the hardware, which is like big metal replacement parts, which is very Haviland.
Yeah.
So we kind of ended up with a little bit of a division there.
Yeah.
We had the Union. We've added to these as we've gone along.
Yeah.
But we've got the Union, which is 2 companies, 1 CEO. That is not a problem. There is no conflict of interest, and it's bad to say that there is. So we had Royal Arms Incorporated, who have things like the Buckingham powered exosuit, the Churchill repeating automatic shotgun, and harking back to Britain's sort of imperial past. And then you had Salvation Sec, or Salvation Securities, also known as the Salvation Army. You can see we weren't being super serious with this, who were the remnants of the church. So the idea of the Queen or King being the head of church and state, we took that and turned that into 2 companies with the same leader. That have, so Salvation Securities, they have a giant army of people, because it's all the people in the slums. They're the biggest slum landlord in the country.
Yeah.
Because the church is the biggest slum landlord in this country, people. Wake up, sheeple. Wake up. I don't mean that. Have to preface that. Was Favela terraforming your one in the end? Or did you come up with a different...
No, I came with a different one.
It's going to bug me.
Because the character I made was a beautician of sorts.
Yes.
It went and sold products. I remember the tagline was because you're currently not worth it.
You got into the feel.
Yeah.
The feel of it then. So we added them in. We also had Favela terraforming, fabrication, relocation, obfuscation. They build things and they also do gang warfare. So like a criminal gang, but got really successul.
Yeah.
We also added in some silly things like Scotland Yard being bought by Yardies.
Yeah.
We're making it seem it was quite a sinister, serious game.
Yeah, this is the odd thing I found about it. It's like we're making these silly like puns and jokes about stuff, and then there's actually quite a dark undertone to everything.
Yeah,
which became a bit snow crashy.
Yeah. There's just like these humorous bits. There's room for it in Cyberpunk for some dark humour.
Yeah,
and such like. So, what you do once you've made your Sprawl, and yours can be completely different to that. You can have a much more utopian one with sort of the kind of missions you're doing going on secretly, or sort of undercover. You could do pretty much anything. You could rip something from somewhere.
Yeah.
So you could take the Sprawl if you wanted to, and there is a 150-page settlement supplement. Setting supplement, sorry. The November Metric, which has 12 settings.
So quite a lot of already pre-built settings for you to use. Which
Yeah,
is nice.
so 12 pre-built settings that you can use in your games. I really like the picture on the front of it. I'm looking at it now because I haven't bought it. It's on the internet and I really want it. It's really pretty. I'm trying to resist buying it because we're going LARPing soon and I need the money for that. So I can't buy things. I like the phrase on here, the way it's phrased. It includes 12 settings ranging from arcologies to sprawls to nation states to cat-based conceptual overlays. I want to know what a cat-based conceptual overlay is. I probably want to spend 4 to 6 years of real-time role-playing in one.
Yeah.
Because I love cats.
There was a section in Only Forward, which is a cyberpunk book by Michael Marshall Smith.
Okay.
Where essentially the whole of the States is now one big cityscape.
Okay.
And everything's sectioned off into massive blocks that used to be the size of cities that have particular archetypes or thought beliefs and stuff, and one of them is completely
Okay.
dedicated to cats and is owned by cats.
Oh, cats become sentient?
No,
not
they're just
sentient. Become.
they're just normal cats, but it's just lots and lots of feral cats. People don't venture in there unless they're a cat person because they're not welcome.
Oh, okay, cool. Sounds like my bedroom when I haven't given the cat any treats today.
Yes.
Get told off. Get shouted at a lot. So yeah, we talked a lot before about how player input and player buy-in is really, really important in a role-play game. By getting you to make it yourself, yes, it takes time, and some groups might not feel creative enough to do that.
Yeah.
You can get the other book and use those.
Yeah.
Or take something from somewhere else. But for groups that feel up to it, I think it's a really great way to start a campaign or a series of linked adventures, because it's not just this thing is happening to me. It's like, that's the corporation I made. You're immediately brought in, and you're talking and discussing as you go. So everything should have a bit of everyone's input.
Yes.
It encourages you to say yes and, what about that? You've done that kind of thing. Mine could be like this, and they could be opposites and hate each other and be at war, and you kind of tie everything together.
Yeah, it came across massively when I joined the session partway through.
Yeah.
When I was like, okay, so what's going on with everything? And everybody was jumping in with various bits and pieces and describing bits of the corporations, of the world, and things they'd remembered from the missions or they created before. And so there was a lot of excited chatter about it, which was made me invested.
It does other things to give more of that kind of buy-in, which we'll talk about in a second. But it's one of those. It's a game that really encourages the players to be as creative as the person running the game.
Yes,
which I really, really like. So moving on from there, then you'll then create characters. Now it's definitely a class-based system. Which can feel a bit old school these days if you're used to playing more kind of freeform systems. If you played a bit of World of Darkness or GURPS or those kinds of things where they're a bit more open. You have very different types of characters with very different abilities. Now over time, characters can start moving outside of their focused area.
Yeah.
But what it does is it makes you very, very good at one thing.
Yeah.
Which feels very Cyberpunk to me.
Yes.
If you go to Neuromancer, you have Case. He's a hacker.
Yeah.
He's really good at hacking.
Yeah.
He's a bit shit at everything else.
Yeah.
You have Molly, who's really good at killing people, but
can't do much else.
Yeah. So you have these kind of specialists.
Yeah.
And it's got that kind of. It gives it that kind of. It's almost like a heist movie kind of feel as you get into the missions, where you bring together. You've got the guy who's there to do the hacking. You've got the girl who's there as muscle. You've got the leader.
Yeah.
You've got the driver.
Yeah.
And they've all got their little bit, and they all get their moments in the spotlight when they do their thing, because they can do their thing really, really well.
Yeah. That's really fun. Again, helps with that investment, as you said. It also makes it very easy for drop in, drop out play.
Yep.
You've got a couple of people missing that week. Well, it doesn't matter because that crew, the mission you're doing, doesn't need those people.
Yeah.
You need these.
You're not an adventuring party in the D&D sense, in that you go everywhere together and you sleep in each other's tents. No euphemism. You are hired for the mission.
Yeah.
So you can go, oh well, where's so and so? Well, they're on a different mission.
Yeah. Or they're at work today. This is a thing they do on the side.
Yeah, they're doing something else.
Yeah.
Go away. They can't be involved.
Yeah.
And so you can still. It doesn't suffer as much from that kind of that drop in, drop out kind of thing that can sometimes happen. You could be a driver, drive stuff. Could be a car. Could be a helicopter. You could be a fixer. You fix things in a social sense. So you can find stuff. You can find contacts. You know the right people. Play a hacker. You hack things. You chop them up with a stick.
Cool.
Sticks are rubbish for chopping things up, Ron. Your computer stuff.
Yeah.
Hunter, you find people. We've got a hunter in our group who is basically a private detective.
Yeah.
Oh, so-and-so's missing. I'll find them. Infiltrator, sneaky thief people.
Yep.
Got killers. They kill things really, really well.
Yeah.
Pushers are a little bit unusual, to the point where I'm having to look at the book a little bit. I quite like there's a quote for each character class as well, which is from a song Oh, they're not all from songs. Some of them, a lot of them are. The pusher has an ideology, a vision, a cause, or a mission. And it could be it's a higher ideal, political change, social justice, revolution. Maybe it's simply to be the top dog in the junkyard. When you start talking, people listen. A kind of charismatic character.
Yeah.
Be a reporter. So you're doing news. You don't necessarily have to work for a corporation. You could be doing that like citizen journalist thing.
Yeah.
You can do that really kind of cool cyberpunk. I'm live streaming.
Yeah.
So I need to make it interesting because I'm losing viewers. I shoot the guy in the face.
Yeah.
See what happens.
Yeah.
Viewer count goes up, kind of thing. You could do it different ways.
Yeah.
You've got the soldier, who's different to the killer. The soldier is more like a professional soldier. Makes a plan, executes the mission.
Yeah.
Has lots of bonuses to do with that. We've got a soldier and a killer in the same group, and they don't actually clash.
No.
Really, the killer tends to be following the soldier's orders. And you have a tech.
Yeah.
So you build and make tech. Did you make a tech?
I was a tech. Yeah.
I like your tech. I remember your tech.
Yeah. Germophobic tech.
Yes. Yeah. Don't. Which being a tech's kind of a greasy occupation.
Well, not in her industry.
No. Good point. Good point. She's more electronics and stuff, wasn't she?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not on those side of things.
Yeah.
So,
You could have like mechanics and stuff. You get drones and such like for being a tech. So there's a nice variety there. I think there's 9. I didn't count. I can't count anymore. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's 10. So there's not necessarily any need for overlap in a group. You can all have your own little niche. Some of them I think are easier to bring in. You know, you might find it hard to use a driver in every single mission, but they can still do other bits and pieces.
Yeah.
But then again, your MC should be putting in those opportunities for you.
Yeah.
So you make your characters, you pick other characters. You don't all necessarily know each other at the start. You pick another character that you know. You describe a mission that you went on, that you were the star of, and then someone else gets to go. And I was there too. I helped out with this.
Yeah.
And you kind of go around. So everyone's linked to everyone. And it has this system where, along with sort of experience, you gain link with other characters. At the end of each session or each mission, you go, I feel I learned something about your character because we did this bit together.
Yeah.
So it might be, we were hunkered down in that gunfight together and we saved each other's asses. Or I caught you lying about this and this and this, and I know what you did, and I know you don't know I know, but I know you were lying. I want you can mark link, and you use that link when you get lots of points of it. You do a little role play scene, you gain some XP, and it shows that your relationship with that person has changed, and then it resets until it hits that point. When you help each other out, you get bonuses to the dice roll, because you know a bit about each other. But then your relationship changes, so you maybe don't work as well together. So if your characters go from being friends to being lovers because you've had so much link, you've got to know each other so well, or you're in a new type of relationship and you're not as smooth working together anymore because you've not got, you're in a new social zone with them, for instance. But it could be all sorts of different
different
things.
Piss each other off. That's very cool. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, so it could be that you know each other, but you've got like this sort of passive-aggressive kind of snarky thing, and then your scene is one of you turns around and lamps the other one, and that's like, well, now we have a very different relationship. We don't snark. Yeah. We've got a violent relationship. Yeah. It's very different. So, you can take it in different directions. And I really like that. I like the idea that it's getting you to think about what's happened and how it's changed your character and the characters' relationships to each other.
Yeah. Encourages that interaction with players, which does come naturally with roleplay, but it makes you think more about it, which is nice.
Yeah. So these characters, they each have an individual playbook. So you have moves. When you want to do something in the game, you make a move. And these are quite big, these ideas of moves. Making a move is quite a big thing. It's not like I'm going to roll a perception check. It's more like I'm going to scale down the side of the building, kick the window in and gun everyone down with my machine gun. Roll your dice. They're much bigger. And it's more about describing what happens and that kind of thing, and not getting bogged down with rules. So when I say, you know, it's kind of rules light and story heavy, it encourages the players to explain the consequences of their actions. It's very clear in that you make the move, you roll the dice, and then you kind of explain what goes on. Rather than, let's say, each individual attack you roll in Dungeons and Dragons or Pathfinder or most games actually. This, you can do an entire combat in 1 or 2 rolls. That's kind of fine. It's all right. So generally, when you make a move, you will roll 2 dice. You will add a stat, and you might have other things. You might have cybernetics. Everyone has cybernetics, and one of the good things about that is you have to explain why you've got it and where you got it from. So if you saved up and bought it for yourself, it's probably a bit wonky, and it'll be wonky in some way. Or someone could have bought it for you, so you could be owned by a corporation. So your cybernetic arms don't necessarily belong to you, and therefore Haviland, who gave you your cybernetic arms, expect favours in return. Which is good. So you've got these different things that might modify it. And again, these are just tying you into the setting more. You've then got basically the higher you roll, the better. So a 10 plus on 2 dice with your modifiers. Your modifiers tend to be quite low to start with. But a 10 plus will be a success. A 7, 8 or a 9 is a success with a complication, and less than that is bad times. Not necessarily a failure, but something really bad has kind of happened. And if you fail, or sometimes if you get a 7, 8 or 9, depending on what you're trying to do, the MC then gets to make a move of their own. And it could be something just to show you the barrel of the gun. So they might show you, they might threaten you or give you something. You might glimpse something. The boss kind of spider tank. There you go. Ghost in the Shell. You'll glimpse it through the things. It could be, you know, you take damage in return. Could be all sorts of different bits and pieces. And the different character classes, everyone shares a play. There's a shared playbook. The different character classes then get playbooks of their own. They choose moves from that. So you can have a soldier that's really good at planning ahead, a soldier that's really good at giving orders in the heat of the moment, a killer that counts as a small gang because they're so dangerous, or a killer that's really good at creeping up on people and killing them without anyone noticing. And you can kind of take different moves to customise your character. There's quite a lot. And this is possibly where some people might not like the game. And that's fine, in that the moves are quite limited. You're not going to be doing, it's not quite as open and free in the different skills and stuff that you have as, say, maybe a typical game. It's very much focused on this group of professionals coming together to do a mission. So all the cool stuff is focused around that. And then anything else, you know, you're not going to get craft whittling as a skill, as I've had several players have in my Path. I've had about like the 5th character in one of my Pathfinder or Dungeons and Dragons games that's got craft whittling. It's people just like making shit out of wood.
I suppose
imaginary wood.
We don't see a lot of it around in Peterborough particularly, so maybe it's just an urge your players get that.
Imaginary wood would be a good name for a VR porn company, wouldn't it?
Add that to the Sprawl.
Cool. So you've got these different things, and basically you're presented with a mission, and you have 2 phases to the game. You have the legwork phase and the action phase. So in the legwork phase, and this is where the game is very much focused around these professionals doing this mission, because you don't have phases in other games. You just do the thing. But in this game, you've got the legwork phase where you'll get your mission. Someone will approach you. You roll to get the mission. The higher you roll, the more likely you are to have more information, to know who has hired you specifically, not just like it's that guy in a pub, or that guy in a bar, or we got an email. You have to roll high and you get a choice. You can't tick everything off, so you've got choices straight away. And okay, do we want to get paid more? Do we want some intelligence or some gear to help us out on the mission, or do we want to know who this person is? Are we nosy? We want to know what's going on.
Yeah.
Yet one of those is the meeting does not attract attention. And this is one of the great things, is that the game assumes at these points that bad shit's going to happen unless you decide it doesn't.
Yeah.
Which I like.
Yes.
At the end of the mission phase, you roll to get paid. And again, if you don't want to get double crossed, you have to roll well and choose it as one of your options.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to get double crossed. Because it's that kind of game.
Yeah.
And I like that.
Yeah.
I really like that. So the players will acquire a mission. They will then stake their cred upon the mission. Now, cred is kind of a mixture between your street cred, your reputation, and your credits, the amount of money that you've got.
Yeah.
It's like monetary and social capital.
Yeah.
It's quite good.
Yeah, that's clever. Yeah.
So you'll gamble that. So if you want to get a really good payday, you're gonna increase your reputation.
You invest more in it.
But that might have problems if you invest really. If you say, I'm going to tell everyone I'm going to do that, so when it goes off, they know it was me because I want to be famous, baby.
Yeah.
You'll start to attract attention.
Yeah.
And you have countdown clocks. This is again something that I think comes from Powered by the Apocalypse. Countdown clocks sound like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
As I said, I've not played other Powered by the Apocalypse things. But you have these countdown clocks start at midday and go to midnight. They stage up to like 3 o'clock. I think it's like 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 9, 10, 11, 12, or similar. And the closer you are to midnight, the closer you are to disaster.
Yes.
Yes. And even your hit points stage up in the same way.
Yeah.
You hit midnight, you hit 0000, probably your heartbeat.
Yeah.
Your BPMs, your pulse rate. You could potentially die horribly. Yay! So you might attract attention. So you might advance the legwork phase. You might advance the action phase, and the MC will put in conditions as you go. If the action phase hits midnight, it's over. You're going to have to tell the MC how you get out of trouble.
Yeah.
Because you've called down. Everyone knows what's going on, and these are mega corporations. They can outshoot you. They can outfight you. They can outman you. Yeah. If they send in a full military unit to deal with you, you're getting out of there.
Yeah.
Probably carrying one of your own legs behind you, kind of thing. So, yeah. So it has a little bit of sort of grittiness. There's always like a race against the clock thing. In the legwork phase, you might attract attention as you try to leverage your contacts, get yourself some gear, go and scope out the area that you're looking at. How much do you keep preparing and risk getting caught versus
actually doing what you need to get done? And
the less trouble you've caused throughout on these clocks, the easier it is to get paid at the end.
Yeah.
Because obviously your employers don't want too much trouble. They want the mission done smoothly and professionally.
Yeah.
So you've got a nice kind of push and pull there. You're like, are we ready? Well, I don't want to keep... We've got to be ready, because otherwise the clock's going to time out and we're going to get in trouble. They're going to know we're coming. So it might be that, at midday, the security on the building you're breaking into is 5 security guards. At 3 o'clock, they think something bad might be about to happen. They've added a couple extra guys. At 6 o'clock, they're convinced that something bad's going to happen. They've doubled the shift.
Yeah.
At midnight, they're like...
There's a small paramilitary unit.
Yeah, which
outside.
Then adds in complications as you go. So I like that. I think it's really, really good. And it gets you in slightly sort of paranoid about what you're doing. And it makes every role feel like it has consequences.
Yeah. Everything felt like it had weight when I played. Yeah.
You're not rolling the dice very often, but generally it does feel like they mean something.
Yeah.
Sometimes, D&D Pathfinder, just because it's on my mind.
Yeah.
I'll roll a knowledge check. Oh, yeah, you don't really know anything about it. Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
I'll just stab it with a sword, see what happens.
Whereas in this, you'd roll the equivalent of a knowledge check, and you fail it, and the person who you're trying to find out information on knows you're looking for them,
Yeah.
and so hides harder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you've got cool stuff going on with that, and I quite like that. But as I say, it's very much built around this planning the mission, doing the mission in the action phase. If you're more into sort of very free form kind of role play, very open world kind of role play, it might not be for you. There is scope for the players to say, right, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. We've annoyed this corporation, we're going to need to do X, Y, and Z to make it better in some way, whether that's murdering a bunch of people or doing a favour or trying to set up a meeting with them, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
But the default kind of thing with it is someone wants to give you a mission. You meet them. They give you the mission. You prepare, you do it.
Yeah.
You finish the mission. There's a very much a set structure there, which is why it works quite nicely for sort of something that we can dip in and out of, because you don't necessarily need a load of ongoing backstory. You can bring characters back, and it encourages the player characters to make connections to the world and rewards you for that. But you can just go, right, 6 months go by.
Yeah.
It's been a terrible 6 months. You haven't earned anything. After the Nakatami incident, what occurred that you guys did do a thing with. This has happened. Okay, you've laid low. Now you need to pay the rent.
Yeah.
You get this weird email. This guy wants to meet you in a bar. You've never been to the bar before. You're a bit desperate. What'd you do? I'll go get it, but I'm bringing Jeff because he's got a gun. Okay, yeah, you and Jeff go along, and then off you go, and you kind of go from there.
Yeah.
One of the things I really like that it does is it encourages you to, each session a character can, or a player can declare a contact.
Mm-hmm.
So you go, haha, I know this guy, or I know this girl, and it's completely up to the player who they are and what they do. They do have to roll dice because there might be some kind of complication. They might not be able to help you straight away, but those contacts stay in play and can be leveraged in every game. So once you've played a few games with the same character, they've got a little social circle where they know each other. We ended up with one player's contact ended up moving in with a different player because their apartment got blown up. Much to her horror.
Yeah.
We ended up with a couple little side missions where people have gone, I need a favour from you. Oh, you need a favour from me? Well, I need a favour from you first because this is happening.
Yeah.
And they've gone off and done a little bit. So they wanted to hire a limousine from someone, and a guy's auto lock kept getting broken into. So the killer character went and stood guard, went and did security overnight to try and catch these people, and ended up murdering one and put them in a big dustbin and walking off whistling. But they went away. There were some bullet holes in the side of the building and a big puddle of blood, but the kid was missing. Just some young punks that came to spray paint the cars. So you can kind of have fun with that and bring different characters in. So I have one character whose contacts don't like each other. They've each got a contact. Those people don't like each other.
Yeah.
So there's potential to sort of build up your NPCs that way, but it's driven by the players. So the players are going, oh well, I know a guy who can do this. And you're like, well, how do you know them? What are they like? And you're encouraging them to be creative as well as the MC. I find the Sprawl, I can sketch out a mission in about 15 minutes and be ready to go.
Yeah.
And anything I'm not too sure on, I can kind of bounce back onto the players.
Yeah.
And this is where the system, I think, is really, really good because it encourages everyone to participate.
Yes.
Did you leverage any contact?
Yes, I had a guy in working for the corporation we were essentially hacking into.
Yeah.
Who I leveraged to give us a backdoor in so we wouldn't set off any security alarms in the building we were in. Yeah. And
I think that makes you feel a bit like a professional. It feels like makes the Sprawl feel very filmic.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need lots of background.
No.
Because you go, well, I know a guy.
Yeah.
And you kind of accept that in films and on TV and in books a little bit. in that, people have this rich other life going on. But if you're playing like Pathfinder, to go, oh yeah, I know this guy who can buy magic items. No, you don't.
Yeah.
Because I know for a fact I made this setting, and the gold piece limit in this town is 17.5 gold pieces because it says so in the chart on the book. It's much more rigid. This is much more fluid.
Yes.
And you're playing in a huge city, so there's potential for all sorts of everything. But you've all got sort of backgrounds, and you might still be working for a corporation doing this on side. You might be completely freelance, but you'll have contacts from elsewhere. The soldier can get a small paramilitary unit as one of their sort of resources and moves and stuff.
Just in case.
Yeah, it's really cool. So that means you're not spending ages. Okay, we need to find a man. Okay, where are you going to go? I'm going to go to the pub and ask if anyone buys guns. Yeah. Okay, you go to the pub. And it just like, I know a guy who can sell that.
Yeah.
Bum, 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 bum.
I know this pizza delivery guy, Jeff, having to deal with Uzis on the side. Yeah,
and then you turn up and there's 3 people holding his shop up and trying to rob him, and suddenly you're in a fight.
Yeah.
Bang, complication, there you go.
Yeah.
Sorted, and it keeps everything moving really quickly.
Yes, it's like nice scene cuts between each.
Yeah. The other thing it does quite nicely is it lets you feel slick and professional by having intelligence and gear. So you can do some research and find out some intelligence, and then we've been using poker chips to represent these, but really you just mark them on your sheet.
Yeah. And
you just go at some point during the game, you go, right, yeah, when I was in the stacks looking for info, found out about the security system here. You go, okay, cool. Have a +1 to your check to evade the security system. You might go, and there's a tank coming. We weren't expecting a tank. And you go, I always plan for tanks. Spend a gear, and you pull out that little briefcase that your character's been carrying around, unfolds into a little portable RPG.
Yeah.
And off you go. And you've got various different things you can do with it, which means sometimes I've done stuff where characters have like in other games have tried to break in somewhere or have tried to rescue their princess or whatever, and they try to plan for every eventuality.
Yeah.
There's that cleric that has 400 scrolls on them, one of every spell they can cast just in case.
Yeah.
I've got a 10-foot pole and 20 foot of rope and 14 days rations and because they want to be prepared for everything.
Yeah.
Well, you can be prepared for everything
or
at the right time.
Yeah. More without seeming over the top.
And without wasting time visiting 47 different merchants and that kind of thing. So I like that. Yeah, it's really, really good. It keeps things moving.
Yeah. I really enjoyed that element.
Yeah.
Going into the game.
And again, there's creativity to it because it's your gear token as a player. You decide when you use it and what you want it to be.
Yes.
So you're contributing to the story. It's not the MC story that the players are running through. They're shaping the story as well. They're able to throw curveballs. They're able to do different things. They're able to bring in characters. Normally characters are completely a DM thing, but they can just make up a person who now exists and has a relationship with you. How cool is that?
Yeah.
And then the DM has to pronounce their name and do their accent and be them. But yeah, it's cool. I think the only problem we found with it as a group is that sometimes in the legwork phase, the players will split up and you end up with a split party.
Yeah.
So the MC's working with one character and everyone else is talking about biscuits because they're not really involved and they're not there. So I found that to keep those bits sort of sharp and snappy.
Yeah.
Whereas I think traditionally we as a group we're very role play heavy anyway.
Yeah, we tend to role play in real time.
Yes. Yeah. And so kind of speeding through them a little bit, giving them a little bit of flavour.
Yes.
Is really, really good.
Yeah.
So so that's kind of a feel of how it works. To give you an idea of a mission that was done by the group, I'll pick one of my missions and I'll just explain a little bit, just to give people an idea of what they can do.
Yeah.
We did a mission called the Hieronymus Op, which involved the group being hired to extract a rogue artificial intelligence from the Chiswick demilitarized zone. Well, it wasn't in the Chiswick demilitarized. It was in there for a bit. It actually had moved. They had to track it down. The Chiswick demilitarized zone is one of the richest places in Neo-London, because Chiswick is one of the richest places in the UK.
Yeah.
And we came up with some random background for this AI called Hieronymus. So apparently in our world, Hieronymus is an independent AI. There are only 10 in the world, and it's recognised as a person and is a citizen of 27 different nations and nation states. Mm-hmm. It's one of only 3 independent AIs that is disembodied, so doesn't exist in a physical stack or computer system.
Yeah.
They're not supposed to do that, but they have.
Yeah.
So we kind of, and this was with the players as well, we came up with some bits and pieces and chatted about it. So they wanted to, the people in the Chiswick DMZ, the person who hired them wanted them to track down this particular AI. Mm-hmm. Because it had hacked into the Chiswick DMZ and caused a load of trouble. And it was being held by Lynx, the London Information Exchange. So the players went looking for it, found out where it was. It was being stored, so it had been contained.
Yeah.
Because it had been a bit naughty and it was being moved around. So they then plotted an assault on an Athenium to try and get the thing.
Yeah.
And through that, there was a great big fight. The Lynx have very, very cool kind of heavily cybered operatives.
Yeah.
That are, in my mind, is it Metal Gear, where the guy with the sword appears from nowhere,
yes,
cuts people in half and then disappears?
Yeah.
Yeah, bit like that.
Yeah.
Kind of creepy super spy things. And they ended up, at the end of it, after a series of misadventures, which involved accidentally levelling a small city block. They stole a powered exosuit.
Yeah.
Which then the other people, the Lynx people, hacked back into. So the moment that they disengaged from it and were no longer in direct control, it turned around and tried to blow them up.
Yeah.
Missed. Shot a truck. The truck hit a building. There was a huge explosion. It was all good. They ended up with one of the players downloading the AI into their brain.
Yeah.
Because the brain is just a big, in my mind, it's a big processing unit.
Yeah.
Causing him to overheat and be racing against the death to be rescued. And so they went to a dodgy backdoor doctor to get him extracted. One final twist.
Dodgy backdoor doctor to get him extracted. That turns into a very different mission.
That's very dodgy, isn't it? Yeah. And nearly died. Didn't die.
Oh, that's good.
Didn't die, but about 50 other people died.
Yeah.
They ended up very, 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 very much pissing off the London Information Exchange.
Yeah.
To the point where they're about to, in our game, send a huge team of operatives after them just to kill them. Or they're going to hire them for a last job and then kill them.
Yeah.
Get a bit of use out of them. So, just an idea of the kind of thing. But I'm looking through my notes and I'm seeing all sorts of things like they wanted to break in somewhere. So they were asking a contact for a mama duck, someone to lead them in.
Awesome.
Not my thing.
No.
Players just coming up with their own kind of ideas.
Yeah.
Sounds really cool, doesn't it?
Yeah.
We had the Buckingham giant exosuit. The Sandringhams are the smaller exosuits.
Yeah.
Which is good. Just seeing what else we've got. We had Crash the hacker.
Yeah.
Who got involved, who now lives with one of the players and they're not happy about it. We have Cha Cha, who's an exotic dancer who sells information and was having all sorts of dodgy problems.
Yeah.
And had to get the heavy to go and beat up someone who was blackmailing her. We have Cosmo, the human trafficker, who works out of a virtual sex bar called the Rouge Trader. who I'm again not my thing. They sell long life, so life water. They sell long life, which is sex water, it's Viagra in water form. And their slogan is "Jack in, we'll jack you off." And what I like is that 90% of that wasn't me. I was running the game, but I was uncovering it as well.
Yeah. You're like a facilitator.
Yeah. I'm coordinating, but I'm not in control of every single element. So that may have been slightly weird or slightly, what the hell is this guy talking about? But there's just so many bits in there, like those 3 contacts that I mentioned. They didn't exist at the start of that session. I had to role play them. So the players have made up a character for me to role play. So I'm doing something unexpected as the DM.
Yeah.
And that's what I really like about DMing. I like to run sandbox games because I like to be surprised by my players.
Yeah.
Well, the Sprawl lets them surprise me all the time by saying, this guy does this, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to use this bit of gear to do this really weird, crazy thing. And you're like, oh my God, I have no idea what that... Okay, what do you think happens? Roll your dice.
Yeah,
and you just kind of roll with it and go with it.
And it helps you probably feel like a player as well.
I feel like I'm playing the Sprawl just as much as the players.
Yeah.
It's new to me. It's not like I've read my 20 pages of my campaign and I'm going to deliver it, or I've planned for 3 hours before the session and I know everything that's going to happen in the dungeon.
Yeah.
It's almost, if you imagine Pathfinder, where one of the players can go, I think there might be a trap over there. Or, wouldn't it be cool if there was a dragon? Well, cool, there's a dragon, go for it.
Yeah.
It's got that... It's very much more give and take than other RPGs. Which is why I really, really like it.
Yeah.
Because it keeps me on my toes as a DM. Or it stops me having to sort of over-focus.
Yeah.
And it, as I said, it does its one thing really, really well. It spends... Because like a normal RPG game will spend 500 pages trying to give you the rules and the world and the background and try to cover every eventuality. The Sprawl spends 250 pages doing one thing in loads and loads of detail.
Yeah.
Which I really, really like. I think it could drag if you were going to play it for a long, long time. Yeah. Because it does do that one thing. I'm sure you could hack it and adapt it, and there's a bit in the back for adapting it and hacking it and that kind of thing. But it just does that thing really well. It's written really well. So, for instance, when you get hurt, you roll dice. You roll your dice to acquire agricultural property, as in buy a little plot of land to die in, to be buried in. So, at that point, it's just evocative. Yeah. When you do that thing, that all of the abilities, etc., have cool names. Yes. You don't go to a contact for help. You hit the street. Yeah. Because it's kind of what you're doing. It's full of... You have... you don't fight. You mix it up. You don't threaten someone. You play hardball. And it's just full of little bits and pieces like that. Yeah. Your physical stat is your meat. Yeah. You have cool to remain calm and focused in stressful situations. You have edge to use your street smarts. You have mind to think your way through things. You have style to be charismatic or to have nerve. And synth to interface seamlessly with technology. Yeah. So the same 6 stats, just like Pathfinder or D&D. Yeah. Keep talking about that, but I think it's probably the one most role players will be familiar with.
Yeah. It's the go-to tradition. Yeah.
But it's a very different feel rather than Dex, Con, Strength, Wisdom, Charisma, Intelligence. You've got cool, edge, meat, mind, style, synth.
Yeah, which instantly. They seem vaguer, but they're also evocative. You know exactly what each of them mean.
Yeah.
You know exactly what circumstances you'll be rolling those statistics for. Yeah, it's very cleverly thought out.
Yeah, it's very, very focused on the thing that it does. So if you want to play cyberpunk stuff and be a cyberpunk badass operative who gets themselves into trouble and gets themselves back out again, or maybe not sometimes.
Yeah.
If you want to be a bit of a badass and not have to worry about planning ahead, it's really, really good for that. It's really good to just sort of really get immersed in that kind of cyberpunk feel.
Yeah.
And I've really, really enjoyed it. I really want to play it now. I haven't played it for a few weeks, and I'm like, I've been talking about it, and I want to play now. I want to do more of it because it is really, really fun. And it is I think it's fairly beginner friendly. In that there's not a lot of stats to worry about. There's not a lot of number crunching. You're rolling 2 dice and adding or subtracting a number. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, there's nothing super difficult about it. You're not worrying about representing combat on a map or anything like that. It's more about the feel. Yeah. And that kind of thing.
Telling something of interest.
Yeah. Yeah. And I really like, as well as encouraging you to create the world together to get that buy-in, I really like what it does for the DM. Yeah. Sorry. So it gives you an agenda, first of all. So it says, make the sprawl dirty, high-tech and excessive. So, make it over the top. Yeah. Make it gritty, but also, add lots of technology in. Fill the characters' lives with action, intrigue, and complication. So you can just keep adding twists and keep adding bits to it. Yeah. And it's kind of fine with that. Entangle the characters in the sprawl, so get them involved with what's going on. It gives you directives to earn experience from, and it's like, make sure you use those for your players. Yeah. So you can say, my character's money driven, so if they potentially mess up the mission for money, they get XP. Yeah. And there's lots of them to choose from, and it's like, always give opportunities for those. Play to find out what happens. Yeah. Create an interesting situation or a difficult situation and then see what the players do. Yeah. So you don't necessarily need to have all the answers. I quite like that.
It's like, okay, you'll slay the corporate boss and then they'll go off and do this next. So it's like, no, the players are going to do whatever. Cool, okay, this will be interesting to see. Yeah. They need to get rid of this person, but what's going to happen afterwards?
Yeah. Yeah. It talks about how to describe things to your players. So begin and end with the fiction. So you give them a little bit of description, then explain maybe the mechanics. Okay, so you take this much damage, roll your dice, and then give them a bit of fiction, and then you hit the floor and you realise that the blood that's pumping from your arm won't stop and you're probably going to die or something, I don't know. You always start and end with description and kind of hide the rules,
which is
in the middle, which is nice because it's always bringing it back to the imagination. Yes. And it's something I think I could take forward into lots of other games.
Yeah, definitely. It can be something that can get lost in more rules heavy ones like Pathfinder and stuff, where you describe the exact rule case. I mean, we try to describe all the little situations and the things around it, and you add a descriptive to the attacks and stuff, but that really just completely makes the rules disappear, which makes it more fun.
Yeah. So it's not this happens, take 7 points of damage. Yeah. Finish. Like, take 7 points of damage as you're thrown back against the wall and your skull rings against the brickwork and you're back into the imagination again. Yeah. So it's just, I think it's the end with the fiction bit that I think I could use more of, just to keep it in that imaginary realm and take hiding the rules,
keeping you in the role play.
Yeah, I like the principle: ask questions and incorporate the answers. I want this contact. Okay, so what are they like? How do you know them? Yeah. Why should they help you? Cool. Okay. Yeah. Cool. And then you go with it. Yeah. Or I want to break into the building. Okay. When do you want to break in? At night. So how are you gonna get in? Oh, I was thinking I could do this. Okay. Cool. And then you it's asking the players to have input, and then you don't have to do what they say, but you can definitely use bits of it. Yeah. I like the treat your NPCs like disposable assets. I like that. I think a lot of MCs can get a bit attached to their characters, especially with time creating a character. And if you're in a very rules-heavy system and you're like, you've got that perfect combination of feats, and then someone goes, finger of death. Oh, it died. Oh, I don't want it to die. Encouraging you to think off screen. So what are the other characters doing off screen? What are the bad guys doing? How do they react? I think it's just a nice thing to bear in mind that other things happen as a result of what the characters do. And the last one is be a fan of the characters. I think a lot of roleplay games can accidentally become very adversarial. It's the DM versus the players. Yeah. Oh, this character... I see a lot of things on forums and on Facebook groups where it's like, oh, one of my players has made this character and it's killing everything I'm throwing at them. It's like, but that's cool for them, surely. Yeah. The only time that's a problem is if it's not fun for the other players.
Yes.
But it's always like, oh, well, I want to do something to correct it and break it. Okay, yeah. It might get boring for them if they can just overcome every single problem, but let them have a bit of time to shine. Yeah. You know, be excited for them. They spent ages thinking of a character that's going to kick a load of ass. They want to kick a load of ass for a bit, surely. Yeah. You know, it kind of discourages you from that us against them kind of feel, and be like, you know, oh, so you've gunned down all the bad guys, got out of there, destroyed the evidence, got away scot-free, no one will ever know you do it, and you're going to get paid triple for this mission. Awesome, that's really cool. And you're kind of on their side. Yeah. But obviously you want to make their lives difficult and horrible and unpleasant until they get the victories that they've earned. Yeah. So I highly recommend the Sprawl. I don't know if that comes across. What about you, Aaron? What do you think about it from your slightly briefer encounter with it?
I instantly wanted to play more of it.
Yeah.
I completely see where you're coming from with potentially only playing this as a system could get stuck in a rut. Yeah. Potentially. So playing it periodically seems to be better. But I much prefer the more role-play heavy systems than the rules-based systems anyway. Yeah. And this really suits that. As I said, when I joined that game, everybody was excited about the universe they created and wanted to tell me bits and pieces about it. They wanted to describe their characters. They were really involved and invested in them. The setup and the mission we did were really interesting and fun to play. I was a little bit daunted when I first started because there's not... The rules can sometimes act as a nice crutch for going, okay, my character does this, that means I have to look at doing this, this and this.
Yeah.
When that rule comes up, I do that. And because it's a bit more open, free form, it has those, but they're a little bit more down to interpretation. And initially I was a bit daunted by it, but the instant I saw how the other players were using their character to interact using those systems, it made perfect sense, and it was really easy to get on with. And didn't feel like I could do anything wrong. I mean, obviously I could do things wrong, like try and throw a grenade at a group of thugs threatening me because I was Japanese and they were all bunch of racists, and topping off the top end of the car and bouncing it back in, exploding, covering everybody in foam. But but no, it didn't feel like I could suggest something and it would be awful. If I suggested something, it wasn't quite in tone with everything. Somebody else would go, oh, well, what about if we added this on as well? And just jazz everything up. And like you said, it makes everybody feel like they're interacting and part of things, and it's a lot less adversarial. It's not, oh, you've done that, that's ruined this whole mission for us. It's like, you've done that, it's ruined everything, well done. It's like, that's cool, that'd be awesome, right? How would I deal with that? Yeah. No, massively recommend it.
Excellent. So, if you've enjoyed our podcast as much as we've enjoyed telling you about the Sprawl, we'd love you to leave a like. We'd love you to send us a comment if you've played.
Yes. Tell us about your Sprawl.
Tell us about your Sprawl. Yeah, I'm really fascinated to see actually what other people have done.
Yeah.
Because it is quite open. Yeah. You can make very, very different settings. So if you've... I may have got slightly carried away in that bit and bogged down the beginning of the podcast, but I was just like, it's really cool that we made all this stuff.
Yeah.
And we've got our own kind of language and lingo. So we didn't get into it all, but we have Ix, which is short for Icarus. So it's the sons and daughters of the executives who are slumming it.
Yeah.
So they live up near the sun, but they've swooped down.
Yeah.
We've got there's loads of stuff in there. I mean, it encourages, like, you don't have a gun, you don't have a pistol,
you have a named item,
a Remington XP93, repeating sub-processing bungly bong, but don't call it a bingly bong, but you have a specific thing, and like we know, like, we can now tell in our game who manufactured what weapon, because they have different naming things that we've kind of come up with on the fly as we've gone along, and then just incorporated into the game. So, you know, like things like the Churchill repeating, I think it's a shotgun.
Yes, you mentioned, it was one of the things everybody brought up to me. It's like, oh yeah, we've got the Churchill repeating shotgun.
Yeah, and then
Haviland, it's big and fat, and it just keeps going.
A lot of the Haviland stuff is named after sort of Norse mythology and things like that. So you've got, we've got like a themes to what we're doing and ideas, the same way that a car manufacturer will name they'll have a certain pattern to what they're doing, or people might talk about their iPhone rather than their phone because it's the brand name and you've paid for it, and it's more to you than just a phone. It's an iPhone. It means it's got more of a weight to it, because they're heavy, man. They're heavy. They're also
it's all the money involved in them.
I can't use them. They confuse me. Apple products make my brain hurt because I'm not used to them. But yeah, it's really immersive, and it feels different to a lot of the games that we've played. We've played a lot of sort of the hardcore role play games, which are closer more to maybe role play games, wargaming roots like Pathfinder, Dungeons and Dragons. We've played things like Fiasco, which is very freeform and just story. Yes. And you're not rolling dice for conflicts and things like that. And this feels kind of in the middle. Yeah. Like I've got a mixture of the two. Yeah. It's got less dice rolling, more story, more player input on what's going on. So it's not just the DM running things. Yeah. But it still has a structure to it and challenges and ways of resolving conflict and stuff within it. Yeah. Which I really, really like. So it's really, really good. I was trying to end the podcast, wasn't it? And I got distracted again. Hopefully my enthusiasm is showing. So I'm really, really happy with that. So if you're... tell us about your Sprawl. We might... be able to put together an actual play of the Sprawl at some point. I think it's a bit tricky because if we're using our own, if we were to play a Forgotten Realms game, or we were to play a game of Werewolf, or Vampire the Masquerade,
everybody does understand the universe.
People know the universe. With the Sprawl, we've built our own universe, which is really cool. Yeah. But we'd almost have to be sort of explaining bits as we went along.
We could do it on introductory video on our universe.
Yeah, so if people be interested in an actual play, an introductory video, something to help go with it, or if you've got any ideas of how we could kind of make that accessible to you, please let us know. Because I'd quite like to show it off in action, because I really enjoyed it so far. Yeah, what I've played. Excellent. Well, thank you for listening. If you like, leave a like. If you want to follow us around like a crazy stalker, click subscribe. Yeah. And if you want to find out all about quantum physics, click on the little Google box and type in quantum physics and it'll tell you all about it. The internet is a magical, magical thing, my friends. We take it for granted and we should appreciate it before it becomes sentient and takes over our lives. On that note, I've been Brian Ennis.
And I've been Aaron Vinsky.
And we will hopefully see you again soon.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Bye.